Hey Google, play the Superhero Slate podcast.
Okay, playing the latest episode of Superhero Slate.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, dip your toes into some Aquaman movie tickets, Mike.
Chilly.
Yes, we've got a week full of movie trailers, surprisingly.
And hopefully a very specific one coming out soon.
Yeah, it was not one that we hoped would come out this week, for sure. And also, can Titan Publishing clear up the MCU timeline for us, Mike?
I don't think so.
And more.
So we are going into this episode off the heels of a holiday weekend here in the States, Thanksgiving. So, Chris, what did you get up to? Did you have any friends and family over, and did you spread the gospel of any sort of superhero related news to them?
Yeah. So on Thanksgiving every other year, I get to see my cousin Gavin, who lives in Evansville, Indiana. And we meet at his mom's, and he is a big comic book person and superhero person. I mean, Iron Fist is his favorite. Spider-Man. I mean, we get together. Everyone else just clears the room because they know we're only going to talk about this stuff. But this year, this week I had some time, some free time in the evenings. I went through and kind of rearranged my office a little bit and tried to get rid of some things I hadn't been using. I'm like, oh, this was cool, or I really wanted this at the time, and then I'm like, I've never really opened like this certain Lego sets or stuff like that. And he's got a young kid. I think he's like 6, maybe 7. Took him some of those stuff, and I'm really excited to see his reactions to some of those.
How nice of you.
Yeah, I gave him his first pop vinyl. It's a Venomized Iron Man. He's big into that stuff. He got a Spider-Man Homecoming Lego set. It's really, I mean, the kid got pretty much Christmas from me for that. And I gotta hang out with him and talk about a lot of that stuff there. And then also that night, my brother actually ended up buying a Nintendo Switch this week.
Oh, cool.
He got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and I have Let's Go Eevee. So we got to trade those exclusive Pokemon that you can only find in each game.
What are the exclusives between the two? I can't even recall from way back in the day what the exclusives were between.
They've changed them. Like you know what a Bellsprout is, or an Oddish?
Oh, of course I know.
Okay, well, just making sure. I didn't want to assume. So I have Bellsprout. He had Oddish. He has Scyther. I have Pinsir. Like, it's just really random ones. Like, there's like maybe 6 or 7.
Actually, now that you say that, I think those were original swappable ones. At least Scyther and Pinsir definitely sounds like the ones that were exclusive. But that's cool.
Yeah, so we gotta play that together, which was fun. He'd beat the game in just like 2 or 3 days because he's in his down season for work right now. But we were pretty close in level, so that was a pretty good feeling because we used to do this growing up. Like I'd have red, or I had blue and he had red, so it was very reminiscent of the 90s growing up.
See, back in the day when you were a kid, you only ever needed one friend, and that friend better have had the different Pokemon. If not, you gotta ditch them and find a new one.
Yeah, if they didn't, they weren't your friend. I mean, it was simple as that.
We had a sublime video game moment at our Thanksgiving. Ours was a Friendsgiving, so we had a bunch of friends in the area come over, ones that didn't necessarily want to travel for the holidays back home to their family, or just people that came over after their local family dinners to our place. So there's this great moment where we had an equal split of men and women in the apartment, and then just totally organically, without even noticing it, all of the men grouped up in a circle, and we were talking about Red Dead Redemption and Spider-Man. And then we look over, and we notice that the women have all grouped up, and they're talking about books in their book clubs. So we all like looked at each other like, oh, it's like we're kids at a high school dance. We've all sectioned each other off.
You found what the hot topics were of the
day. It was the most organic gender split I've ever seen before. So that was humorous.
Yeah, that was good. And Friday was my wife's family. It's a long car ride with my in-law, but with my in-laws, I mean, they're my friends anyway. They were my friends before I got married, so it was a pretty good car ride there. And then yesterday, one of mine and Rachel's friends, they got engaged recently, so we had a little get together here with like 6 of us. And I actually bought. Have you heard of Beat Saber for PlayStation VR?
I have heard of Beat Saber. It just came to PlayStation, right? It was existing before that.
It's on computer as like early access for like the Oculus and those computer VR ones. It came to PlayStation with some updates and some new songs this past Tuesday. And even before I played through like maybe 5 songs before we got on the show today, just to play it, because you essentially have 2 lightsabers in your hand and you're swiping at blocks coming at you in certain directions, like Rock Band used to do. And it's just it's a good workout, really, if I could be honest. Like you're moving around, dodging, ducking, swinging. I had a good time with that. So
yeah, I've seen some gameplay videos. It seems pretty lit, as the kids would say.
Yeah. There's some expert, like the only ones I ever see are the expert people who don't miss any notes at all. And I'm on hard, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know how they're doing this. But I've got to say it's been a good time playing that. And then also the Spider-Man second set of DLC came out this week, Mike. Speaking of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know. I keep seeing it. I beat, I 100% of the game. So now I'm just waiting. I think I'm just going to wait for all 3 of them to come out. And then, I know they're technically already bundled, but maybe by the time the 3rd one comes out, maybe it'll drop like $5 or something like that, and I can just get them all.
Yeah, it's the second one is a lot harder for someone. I kind of breezed through the campaign, I feel. The second DLC, it's challenging, which I enjoyed the challenge a little more. So we can look forward to that. Mike, did you partake in any Thanksgiving other than Friendsgiving / Black Friday things? Because I think most people consider that a bigger holiday this week.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like Black Friday has been like this amorphous blob that has been changing for the last couple of years. And this is the first year it ever really felt like there's really no distinction between Black Friday, the weekend, and Cyber Monday coming up. Like maybe people will use Monday as kind of like a last ditch effort to really connect to the Black Friday sales, but it really just kind of feels like a weekend of savings. We went to a mall over in Burbank that we typically don't go to, and it was busy the entire weekend. And I actually went into a shop that's like way up at the 3rd floor, tucked away in the corner. You can barely see it. It's probably like one of the worst store locations you can have. But the last time I was there years ago, it was like a full-fledged like comic book store. Like all of the walls and everything covered in comic books, and maybe like a tiny area for kind of like toys and stuff like that. So I went up there for the first time in a long time, and it has totally changed to where now 90% of the store is all toys. And then just in the back by like some tables where I think some people were playing, I don't know what card game they were playing, but I overheard them and they were talking about Dragon Ball. So I don't know if there's like a Dragon Ball card game out.
There is. There used to be one actually in the late 90s, early 2000s. I have almost all the cards for it.
Oh, okay.
And they re-released it with some updated stuff in the past couple of years. I think I went and bought a pack, and I was very excited, and I got the Krillin deck, and I'm like, to hell with this game. I don't want this. So
throw it out the window when you're driving home. It'd be hilarious. Bunch of Krillin cards hanging out on the floor.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know Dragon Ball, that's the last deck you want out of all the Saiyans and villains you could have chosen. So I'm like, well, I'm done. So,
but the store, like this comic book store in general, has like totally transformed into mainly a toy store, which I didn't necessarily hate, because it's sad to see the classic comic book store have to morph and change. But honestly, I could read all of my comic books either digitally or I'll just buy them on Amazon because they're so much cheaper there. And also, I don't really mind if my trades are used too, which makes them even cheaper. So, but it's cool. I like these nerdy toys because they had a lot of vintage stuff and they had a lot of new stuff. They had stuff like a lot of things like out of a bag, so if you just wanted to buy a used toy, and they're like these like cool like Gundam toys and stuff. So we just had a good time walking around looking through like the display cases. Like, I had that toy when I was a kid, I had that toy when I was a kid, yep, I had that one. So that was kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure that it's like the exact same comic book store kind of strategy the last time I was in one, where I just look at things and I don't buy anything. So
yeah,
it was a nice little showcase, like more of like a museum for me. I'm sure the guy behind the counter would have I preferred buy something, but there you go. But yeah, no really Black Friday savings under my belt. But we did go to the movies twice this weekend because it is a holiday weekend. So finally got around to watching Fantastic Beasts, which I believe we're going to be talking about at the end of our episode today. Because I don't think we're really the most educated when it comes to the Harry Potter lore. It doesn't quite fall into the superhero category, but hey, we both saw it, so we're going to talk about it at the end of the show. But I also saw the new Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Breaks the Internet. You finally got around to watching the first one just like a week ago, right?
Yeah, I was told I needed to watch this so I could go watch the second one with my wife, and then she got an invite on her day off of work with another coworker to go see it, and I'm like, well, son of a gun, guess I'll put that on the back burner for a minute. So,
yep, you'll have to just wait a little bit to go see it.
Yep. So I did that. I actually ended up surprise here. Pop vinyls this weekend, Mike. Sales going on. Did you? I don't know if I ever showed you this, but there's a Captain America holding Thanos' gauntlet from the Infinity War movie. Remember that?
Oh, cool.
They put that in a movie moment, so it's like a little diorama of that scene together.
That's cool.
And yeah, it was really cool. Now it came out, I think, on Thursday on Thanksgiving at the stores. So we went to our local mall, and I braced for the worst. I was like, I do not like large crowds. I do not like being confined in a mall, waiting for lines to check out. Holding my stuff while people bump into you, looking around, especially Hot Topics because they're so small, and you're like, oh, I'm already rubbing up against everybody. The mall was probably the emptiest I'd ever seen it at like 8:30 in the morning. We walked in, got those pop vinyls. I bought a gold Gamora, a chrome gold Gamora, and a couple other ones. From Into the Spider-Verse, I wrapped up that collection, Mike. I ended up getting all of those, and was able to walk out and move on with my day. I was actually really impressed with, I guess, how efficient it was this year compared to
I think you went like in the eye of the storm because everybody was either showing up super early to get those savings or those cold heartless bastards at Target, which opened up at 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. And then, and like 8 is, they all passed out by the time 8 a.m. rolled around. You were just waking up. So you got in there just in time, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, maybe everyone went home to nap for a little bit before. But it was
that's Chris's time to shine.
Exactly. So it's been several days off, but I don't feel like I've gotten actually any of my own Chris time. You know what I mean? Like to sit and relax a little bit. So
well, I mean, with a holiday week, the news has been a little light this week. I mean, I think the biggest thing we got out of the holiday was like a Goku float at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is great. I saw somebody on Twitter share this juxtaposition of two photos of two news articles. One from like way back in the day when Dragon Ball Z was kind of at a fever pitch, where it says like the hot new things for kids is this new extra violent anime with dismemberment and beatings and stuff like that, and then juxtaposed to a Goku float in the Thanksgiving Day Parade. So I think the title was How Far We've Come.
Yeah, and my favorite is Al Roker butchering the names of Eevee, the Pokemon. You know Eevee, right? He said EVE because he pronounced it weird.
Al, what are you doing? You are hip and cool. You went on Hot Ones.
And he said, instead of Saiyan, Super Saiyan, he said Super Saiyan Goku. So I was like, well, we got something out of this year at least. So there we go. But we're not here to talk about Black Friday floats or Dragon Ball Z as much as I want to, Mike. We're here to talk superheroes. And the first one, I think, is something that I think everyone's just more of a PSA here. Aquaman movie tickets are now on sale for everybody. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can go to adamtickets.com or on the app and get it to see it December 15th, almost a whole week early, and avoid that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse rush that you don't want to see.
I wish, I don't know if it's specifically just that one date or if it's maybe the whole weekend. Maybe it's also open on Sunday. I should go check because you need to like download the Adams Ticket app, I believe.
I can pull it up right here while you go on with whatever you were saying.
Yeah, give it a shot because unfortunately, the December 15th is when we'll be celebrating my wife's birthday, and I can't very well indeed plan an Aquaman showing on her birthday because she was sweet enough to not to miss Fantastic Beasts the weekend it came out for my birthday. So it seems like every year our birthdays are landing on big movie franchises. So
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, so I might have to go see Aquaman with the rest of you schlubs out there. But I think this kind of partnership is really crazy. There's kind of been like this secret war between Amazon and Walmart this holiday season, where they've been battling back and forth for online internet retail supremacy. So now Amazon Prime was just like, hey, guess what? We're going to give everybody a free trial of Amazon Prime, and if you have that, you can also go see Aquaman a week early. And then Walmart was just like, well, screw your stupid memberships. You can get free shipping without a membership on our website this holiday season. So it's crazy to see this competition go head to head, and just Amazon's like, what can we pull out? What can we give people for free? We got to give them whatever we can. And the fact that we get Aquaman a week earlier out of it is, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah, right now it's just showing the 15th on the app if you select the upcoming movie times. And what I always forget, they actually moved Spider-Man up to the 14th. So you actually are going to have to pick and choose your battles that weekend, Mike. Because Into the Spider-Verse and Aquaman are both within like 2 days of each other.
You know what? I'll do Spider-Verse on that Friday night, I think. And then
or Thursday?
Aquaman a week later. Oh, yeah, possibly.
Possibly Thursday. If not, everything's been moving up to Tuesdays this week. Because I saw Fantastic Beasts on a Tuesday. Wreck-It Ralph was on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening.
I think statistically we need to set a stake in the ground and say exactly what opening weekend is, because I never understood why some movies could get away with big opening weekends by opening a couple days early. It's just like, that just seems like cheating. Like, hey, just because you open up on Wednesday because like the 4th of July happened to land on a Wednesday, that's not your opening weekend. You can't count Wednesday as the weekend. Like, what world are you living in? I think like Box Office Mojo just needs to put their foot down and say, no, opening weekend is going to be starting Friday like at midnight till like the end of the day Sunday, and then we just redo all your metrics for those days.
Well, I think they do records only for those days, but total wise, when they report them, they're like, it's if it's been out since Monday, if it falls after that Sunday before, it's opening weekend for us.
Because you saw Fantastic Beasts when it came out on Tuesday. Does that mean the official release was Wednesday?
Probably, yeah. If it was Tuesday, we saw it Tuesday at 7.
So I think is this what you give them an inch? They go a mile. So is it going to be like, oh well, yeah, Tuesday's the new Thursday night, but guess what? Technically, Tuesday is on Monday night at midnight, so you can go see this movie Monday night at midnight now. But let's just go ahead and roll it back. Monday at 8 p.m. you can go see this movie. Let's just
put it a whole week back.
Yeah,
Monday at 12:01 a.m. starts our weekend for opening weekend.
Forget your jobs. Don't go to work. Don't go to school. Go see our movie.
Exactly. But yeah, so Aquaman 15th if you want to, or you can wait till it comes out the 21st with everything else. You can find all these dates on our upcoming superhero movie and TV release page, by the way, except for the 15th. I'm not putting that in there because it's only Prime members. So that also a fun fact is the Aquaman ticket pre-sales are outpacing Venom's pre-sales by quite a bit, and I think this boils down to what we call eye candy in the business, Mike. People like Tom Hardy, but he looks sickly in most of those shots we were looking at.
So that's what you're boiling it down to.
Yeah. Which I was also going to say, hey, maybe you could do your wife a favor, like, hey, you want to go look at Jason Momoa for a couple hours on your birthday?
She would like to do that.
See, look, this is a win-win situation for everybody. But Venom right now has made more total than Wonder Woman globally.
It makes me so frustrated.
It is horribly frustrating, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But I think it's due to, again, we talked about the Chinese marketing and that 200. I think it's got more in China than it's got anywhere else in any other region right now. And the your boyfriend Venom marketing posters are kind of weird, but I think Aquaman might deserve a little bit of a higher place than Venom. I don't know how I sit on this movie yet. We haven't seen it, but I'm feeling good about it. I don't know if you feel the same.
Well, the real key, if they're trying to go for that Chinese market, is if the South China Sea ends up popping up in this movie at all. Yeah. And then we'll see if a tidal wave is about to destroy China, because if it does destroy China, hey, we don't want that kind of movie over here. But if some sort of Chinese actor icon pops up and saves them from the tidal wave, they'll be like, okay, it's going to make a lot of money in China.
Yeah, I don't think they got that in this one, but color me surprised if they do. We'll definitely see what they do. How global is this movie, Mike? I mean, is it really that global, or is it got the Sahara Desert and then everything else is underwater? Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, in the DC universe, the upcoming Birds of Prey movie has been given I guess, a custom title by Margot Robbie, I think this was. It's called Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And I know that this is not going to be what it's called when it comes out, but it's definitely an interesting choice here of words. I feel like this is a comic book title. Like, this is like, hey, this is a comic book we got coming up rather than the script. But it's with the pages of the script. It's from the official Warner Brother Pictures Twitter page, and it's got, you know, your Harley Quinn lipstick there, I guess. So
yeah, I would say, you know, if you wanted to ignore the title and not jump into what that could possibly mean for, you know, the actual length of the title, I think it's safe to say that we kind of have our first confirmation that Birds of Prey really is going to focus around Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. You know, we knew that she was going to be in it, but not exactly sure, you know, how or in what aspects. I mean, who knows? They could have done the Suicide Squad thing and just made her like a Joker role. Maybe she just would have been an ancillary character that just kind of hovers around outside of the plot, but it seems like she's going to be very integral into it. I mean, if they're saying the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, is this her trying to, you know, clear her record? Is this them trying to like break her out of prison or something like that?
I think this is her breaking off from the Joker. Maybe we won't see the Joker at all in this movie. I mean, who knows? Jared Leto may be too busy focusing on his Morbius role, you know, that cash cow, rather than being damaged for this movie. But I think it might be I think she broke out of prison at the end of the last Suicide Squad, so this might be getting her away from Joker and making her maybe find herself, become her own woman in this universe, and become maybe more of a, I don't know, someone of the characters they focus on that doesn't need the Joker in everything she does. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'll just have to admit that I don't remember exactly what happens at the end of that Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah, well, you don't remember when the Joker busted into the prison and broke her out at the end there, and he takes off the mask and it's the Joker underneath because you thought he died the whole time?
That does sound familiar.
Mm-hmm. Seems like a old bait and switch they do anyway. But that movie comes out February 7th, 2020. Again, it's on our upcoming movie release page. You can go find that. 2020 is shaping up to be a bit of a weird year right now, Mike. We have Cyborg is still on there, but Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, possibly a Green Lantern movie, and at least Gambit. The rest are untitled movies. So
I like how you say at least Gambit.
Yeah, at least. I don't know. That was everyone. DC has taken their release schedule and just shuffled it up and never said anything else about it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and assume Cyborg is not on that plate anymore. That's a safe assumption to be like 2 months after Birds of Prey, and then
yeah, I think we can chop that one.
And Green Lantern Corps is probably not the same month as Wonder Woman 84. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go ahead and update that right now. But in DC's TV world, a show that we haven't watched and is coming up to an end this last season here is Gotham, Mike, and we've got some season 5 photos here showing the classic Riddler and Joker costumes with the characters. And I shared these with you personally earlier this week because I am very impressed with these shots, actually, compared to what I've seen the rest of the show. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, look at Penguin and his little monocle and top hat, and the Riddler's got question marks on his trench coat and everything. It's kind of a shame just because I feel like if Gotham possibly would have punched out of the gate with all of this stuff, we'd be talking a different story right now where we could be huge fans of Gotham watching it every week. But, I just didn't want a Batman light show. I didn't want, with the heavy forward
Gotham
Gordon
without
notes.
Batman.
Yeah, I didn't want those heavy forward Gordon notes. I just wanted Batman. So kind of looks like this last season they said, that they're going to be jumping forward in time. They're going to be adding Batman, like a proto-Batman suit. We're getting the classic look of the villains. I mean, they look like they're pulled right out of like their classic comic book looks. I mean, top hat and monocle. There's nothing more Penguin than that right there. So
what I find impressive, I think I said this, how is Robin Lord Taylor able to shape his body into like an actual penguin looking person? Because everything else in the show, he's always been like a tall, skinny looking dude, and everyone kind of those complaints, but he somehow, I guess it might be the high pants or like the baggy purple coat, but it makes him look small and shriveled up, like not quite Danny DeVito Penguin, but I mean, still, like, I don't know. There's some camera tricks going on here that got me shook, yeah. Mike. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here with the photo, but I like there's this one photo where they're both kind of looking off like maybe towards the top of a building laughing, and there's just kind of like this classic 80s kind of town car limousine off to the side, and that just gives me classic original like Batman movie feeling, you know. So there's a lot of like just kind of production design in this with like the wet streets of Gotham in the background. It feels like I'm kind of looking at like a really high quality like set photo from one of the original Batman movies. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, this is probably the best vibe I've had from this show in a very ever, to say the least. And I'm glad we get to talk about this and see this. And maybe at worst case scenario, Mike, maybe we'll just tune in for the season finale episodes to see. Maybe they nailed it.
That would be hilarious, because then I would have only ever seen the premiere and the very last episode.
Yeah, I've not even seen the premiere, so if you guys are watching Gotham and you've seen these photos, let us know what you feel about season 5 and how that's wrapping up. Now we're going to get into trailer territory, Mike, and I'm not talking trailer. Well, we could call this the trailer park, couldn't we? 2 trailers in a row? No, okay. Yeah. First and foremost is Mike's most controversial movie this season. Mm-hmm. And that is Once Upon a Deadpool. We get our first look at this limited run release PG-13 version of Deadpool. I laughed. I hate to say it, but I laughed. And my fear is, in this short trailer, we have seen almost all the new footage that they've added in this 1 minute trailer.
Yeah, because it does make you wonder. Like, obviously, it's pretty easy to film the extra stuff that they added. You just get Fred Savage and Ryan Reynolds in his Deadpool costume. You just put him in a studio, build the set of a bedroom, and you just have him go crazy.
It's the same. It's the same set from Princess Bride, I think. So they just have to imitate the scene from the Princess Bride.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder, how often are they going to interject into that? This really just seems like a DVD extra. But if it was a DVD extra, it seems like a really, really nice one. It'd be like, oh, wow, they did all of this just for their DVD. Oh, that's really cool. But when you put it in the context of a re-release, it's just kind of like, oh, it's just gonna go to the theater. I don't know. And then I thought this was just a power grab for more money. But then they're only doing a limited release for 2 weeks, and parts of it is being donated to charity. So I don't know how I feel. And it's just why does this have to be PG-13 again? I don't understand why. Is that going to be part of the joke? Are they going to have really, really good jokes of them trying to censor their own movie? I mean, possibly. I don't know. I don't know, Chris. I feel like I'm so curious I have to see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, there's a lot of movies coming out this fall, or this winter, I guess, and to choose Deadpool as one of those it's a bold choice. I think it's coming out the same week as Spider-Man and Aquaman now, I think the 12th. And while I don't understand the desire for the PG-13, I actually have not bought this movie yet to add to my collection, because I even skipped Black Friday sales, because I'm like, you know what? I bet they're going to make a big ultimate release with this version, the regular version, and then whatever other version, the super duper cut, all in one little pack. So if I just wait a little bit, I can just buy them all come January or February.
Well, I was about to say, I had only seen this movie once so far. I never went back to the theater for a second time. Haven't seen any home release for Deadpool yet. So, at least this would be an opportunity to see it another time. So, yeah, I don't know, Chris.
That would be.
I was talking about this over the holidays when we had friends over for dinner. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this movie, and none of them were as hardcore interested than I was. I was talking to genuinely nerdy people that were just like, oh yeah, what is this movie? I heard about it, but I don't know what it is. It's just supposed to be Deadpool. So I was actually surprised how many people aren't in the know that I figured would be. So there could be a chance that there could be a lot of pissed off people that go to this film thinking they're getting another Deadpool movie, and it's just, they're going to be like, wait, I saw this movie already, you know?
Well, I think those people probably deserve to get pissed off anyway. Anyone who just goes into see a second Deadpool movie the same year the other one came out, they're at their own. That's their own fault for that. But the first trailer, I think one of the jokes that got me is Fred Savage biting back at Deadpool at the end of it, saying that he's not really a Marvel character. He's Marvel licensed by Fox, which is the Beatles being produced by Nickelback. Yeah, it's music, but it sucks. So
I wonder if that joke would only be possible because they are in the process of being bought. It kind of seems like something that maybe the studio would have forced them to take out maybe a year or two ago. But so, yeah, maybe the fact that Deadpool is kind of on this bubble makes them get away with some other stuff.
I don't know. I mean, the Futurama movies always literally ripped into Fox hardcore whenever Futurama was canceled and they came back with those 3 movies. Like they were not very nice to Fox about that in those movies. So I don't know. Maybe they're just like, if whatever works, if the joke's funny and you laugh. But yeah, that's coming out. So we got our first look at that. It's a minute long. Couple little jokes in there. So hopefully there's more. The second trailer we got, Mike has not seen this yet, but we are going to on the air watch the Lion King. Lifelike action. I'm not calling these live action, Mike, because there's nothing live in them. They're just lifelike movies rather than live action movies.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, this trailer dropped on Thanksgiving Day. A lot of people were busy dealing with family, chatting with friends, physically just stuffing food down their mouth. So I saw that this dropped just randomly checking my phone throughout the day, and I was like, well, I'm not going to stop everybody at this get-together and throw the Lion King trailer up on the TV. I'll just wait until the show comes around on Sunday, and I'll watch it for the first time with Chris, and then you guys can hear my live reactions to this.
Yep, so we're going to start it up here. Mike, are you ready to click on it?
Oh, yeah, give me a countdown, baby.
All right, we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, load it up.
Man, we are really approaching the uncanny valley with animals, that's for sure. I was waiting the whole time through that trailer for one of them to speak. Kind of wanted to see the mouths articulate, which I didn't quite see. But I suppose I could always go back and watch The Jungle Book, Jon Favreau's previous animal movie, to maybe see how he's going to handle that. But yeah, I guess you hit all the beats that you're looking for. You put the song in there, the iconic moment of the Simba baptism. I don't know, whatever you want to call that.
The moment they put in Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped in my head because that was the last time I had seen that parodied. Yeah, it does kind of make me wonder if Jon Favreau had that in mind when he was making this movie. That like this movie is iconic and has been around for a very, very long time. So it's been parodied, it's been lambasted for a while. And I wonder if he decided to lean into any of those moments, lean out from any of them. Mm-hmm. I like that they took a big part of this trailer just to tell you all the famous people that are going to be in it. I mean, like, come on. If you have Beyonce in your movie, I mean, you're pretty much already going to make your money back, even if it's good or bad.
But you don't have Beyonce's face in the movie. That's the trick here.
That doesn't matter. All you need her to do is just retweet the movie trailer. That's all you need. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a lot of casting decisions now. It's just like, well, we want to make sure we cast people with enough followers so they can retweet the movie because we can make them do that contractually. So,
you think she's going to write a new song for this version of the movie?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I could see it. I'd dig it. I think the thing I've seen the most about this trailer, just watching it, but I've been on the internet the last couple of days. People have really been fighting around the term live action because when we talked about this before when the movie was announced, there's no humans in this movie. I don't even know if this film has ever been dated in like the history of the planet Earth. Humans might not even exist theoretically. I don't know if I've ever seen a human object in the Lion King movies. Have you?
Well, I mean, that's debatable because they do a hula and a luau and they talk about all sorts of things that only humans would do, I guess.
Okay, so maybe they are out there somewhere. But yeah, what did you say instead of live action? You said
lifelike, because I mean, live action doesn't mean you have people in it. Like if it was Planet Earth or one of those movies where they document this and compile it into this, I say yes, live action, but it's all CG. This is an entirely CGI movie. I mean, yes, some of the actual, like, they may have gotten some actual, like, I guess sceneries, some backgrounds from live action, but like none of this is actually live. It's just built to look lifelike, I guess, is the thing. Humans are not. There's nothing real in it.
Yeah, I think it's just the only real term that we kind of have to describe this stuff is live action.
Yeah.
Especially going off the Jungle Book movie, people use the same term there also. I follow a lot of animation people online, and a lot of them have had a lot of trouble with this, saying that, like, oh, if you're calling this kind of live action when it's purely animated, you're doing a disservice to all of the artists and animators that actually made this movie, since like no cameras were really turned on for this film. And also, people don't like it that, it's kind of a roundabout way of saying the actual original animated one is lesser than, because we should just go back and take all of these animated movies and make them live action, because that's the proper way how they should be. So I've seen some people fighting around that, but I don't think it's really as cynical as that when it comes to making these. I think Disney just wanted a way to bring this movie back. If you were to remake The Lion King in like a Pixar style, you're just basically telling the same movie over again. I think the only way you can get away with just retelling the exact same story is you have to just visually make it as different as possible. Like, go with the lifelike look, just because it's just gonna be a different type of experience. If you just kind of go halfway with CG animation of, some just cartoony looking CG characters, it's just like, well, you might as well just go watch the, the 2D version, right?
Yeah. When my wife is a huge Disney fan, like that's her thing. If I need Disney knowledge, I go to her. I don't care for the animated Beauty and the Beast or the animated Jungle Book movies. Or even Cinderella for that matter, but the live action ones, I'm very interested. I'm much more not attracted but drawn to those versions, and I don't know if it's just because the age and the date and like the limitations of that time made them different. But like the stories are very, very different. Like they're not doing like this. Yes, this is shot for shot, but this is a trailer to build on that nostalgia. When you get, it's gonna be different. Like they can't do some of that stuff. Like my favorite scene in The Lion King is when like they dress in drag and do the hula, and I'm like, well, they're not gonna do that in this one. Like they're not. Well,
I could see some scenes changing, but I think very much this is gonna be along the same lines of the film, just like Beauty and the Beast live action was. I mean, that movie was extremely similar, with the addition of like one song and some sort of weird time traveling orb or something. That was a weird new addition.
Like there's more differences in that are just I think I just don't care for the animated ones as much, and I don't know if it's the pacing back then or if it's just the Disney art style. But what I'm interested in this is actually, to me, Mike, the second time I just watched it with you just now, what if we took the sound from this movie and put it over clips of the Black Panther movie? Would it be the exact same?
What are you getting at here?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm not getting like, could I mash up the audio from this trailer with clips from Black Panther, because it's like his dad's like, one day you're gonna be king, and
I see what you're saying. Okay,
like it's in Africa, and like the similarities are very interesting to me, with an evil relative taking over the throne, and the young king having to come back and win. Yeah.
It's a classic story, and the crazy thing is if you dive enough into The Lion King, it's just all basically riffing off of, what is it, Hamlet or something like that. Yeah. There's some sort of a Shakespeare story that's basically, this is basically just Shakespeare with lions, but then don't dig too deep into it, just because The Lion King has been known for a while to basically be ripped off of the same story that I think there was a Japanese animated movie or cartoon show that used lions and also had the same type of Hamlet story. So I don't know. I mean, Lion King has been around for a while.
I just got to say, it's given me that much more reason to pick my cats up by their arms and hold them high in the air and do that scene all over again. So
I will say, Chris, we've had a lot of live action or lifelike Disney animated movies out there on the scene, and I have yet to see a trailer for one that really makes me want to go see it. I think if you've listened to our show long enough, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of live action reboots. I thought maybe The Lion King or Aladdin could be the ones to really get me juiced and going, but we've only really seen a teaser for Aladdin now. I think that could be the one, because out of all the Disney movies I remember watching growing up, Aladdin really was the one that I think really got me hooked. So I think maybe that one will get me jazzed, but I mean, The Lion King, I don't know.
I gotta see my Timon and Pumbaa, Mike. This isn't gonna do it for me. I gotta see the real stars of The Lion King, the comedian. So we'll cross our fingers for our next one. And our last trailer in our trailer park section, Mike, is the Lego Movie 2 trailer that dropped earlier this week. We've gotten a teaser, I guess, or an earlier one early on, and we've got to really dive in to see what's going on with the movie in this one. And I've got to say they introduced a new character in this one, Mike, called Rex Dangervest.
Yes.
And Rex Dangervest is every Chris Pratt role combined into one character, because they're essentially all the same roles. Voiced also by Chris Pratt, who is doing the regular voice of Emmett as well, which I think is really funny.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty clever. The fact that they brought the raptor so heavily into the movie, where he's like petting the raptor. He's like, "Oh, I'm also a raptor trainer." It's like, "Oh, all that doesn't really make any sense. That doesn't track." It's like, "No, it does. Don't worry about it." Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I still think the thing that I really enjoy the most, because we saw the first trailer in front of our screening of Wreck-It Ralph, which I'm surprised that they hadn't updated it to the most recent Lego trailer. It seems to be the case every time I go to the movies. They're always showing the old trailers. Like, hey, people, I'm up to date. Show me the new stuff. But I really love the juxtaposition of these like monstrous Legos that are voiced by like little babies.
Oh yeah.
Like when that star gets stuck in the door, it's like, oh, that hood.
It's so cold.
Yeah, and that's just like hilarious. But also that was kind of a joke that's kind of off the tail end of the previous Lego movie, because I believe when like those Duplo blocks or whatever they were came to invade their town, they were also having the baby talk. It's not the most original joke out there, but it makes sense that it would carry over. Actually, watching these two trailers back to back, there's not a whole lot different except for introducing Chris Pratt's character, and then also that weird morphing alien character,
whoever that is in this one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Duplo blocks are voiced essentially the voice of the little sister, creating the voices in her head. So I see, I see it less as of a bit, but more of the actual like, here's the people controlling the Legos kind of thing, and this is their voices. But I have no idea who the unicorn thing is. I'm actually surprised we got less actual Lego Batman and other ancillary characters, like was it the Unikitty and stuff like that in this? Because Unikitty has her own show, I believe, on Disney, an animated show. And Lego Batman had his own movie, which was one of the, I think, greater DC movies in a while. So
yeah,
I'm really surprised they've not leaned on those characters a little bit more to sell this so far. So
yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna break that third reality wall in this film, like they did with the first one, where Will Ferrell just like pops up in the movie at the end. I feel like they're either gonna lean away from it and be like, oh, we shouldn't have done that in the first place, or they're just gonna keep the theme going. Where just remember at the end of the day, this Lego movie, this epic, is really just a kids and grown adults playing with Legos.
Well, what if the voice of the unicorn / the creature is the mom this time rather than the dad?
Oh, maybe. You could cast Beyonce.
Yeah, because I think well, yeah, you cast Beyonce. Because like to me, like the villain of the first one and the villain of this one are like the parents like telling you what you can and can't do. Maybe this one's a little the lesson's a little different in this one. I don't know. But.
Well, I mean, we do see that the female Lego character, the badass, I don't remember her name. She is kidnapped by one of the aliens. So yeah, I could see where you're going, where maybe a little girl comes in and kidnaps the girl Lego from the other one to join her her herd. I'm a little worried, just because. Just because I went and I saw Wreck-It Ralph 2 this weekend, and it was a sequel to an animated film that I really liked, the first one, and I thought the second one was a little underwhelming, and I feel like I'm out of the norm here, because I went online and I saw the reviews. Everybody's loving the second Wreck-It Ralph movie, and I was just like, it was all right. I don't know if I'm just being an old curmudgeon, but now I'm a little worried about my animated sequels. So I hope this is good. I mean, they really knocked it out of the park with Lego Batman, and that could almost be considered like a sequel within the universe of the franchise. I never saw Lego Ninjago, so I'm just not going to count that one, I guess.
I saw part of Ninjago for the first time this weekend. I think it was on HBO. Not as enthralling. It's not as enthralling as
well. It is pretty funny, because these movies also track the success of Lego in general. I mean, everybody talks about how Lego, the company, took off and exploded when they started gaining IPs and making Legos around Star Wars or Legos around superheroes or any other property out there. I think it's the same for movies. Their movies work out really well when they can bring in other properties and other franchises in their film. And Ninjago was the opposite. Ninjago was just this opposite Lego-owned thing that no one cared about, so no one saw it.
Well, I think Ninjago it does have an audience, and they have like an animated and like a more 2D animated and some other Ninjago stuff. But like by bringing it into this larger like I guess movie studio setting, it just didn't appeal to that mass audience. Like there's the Ninjago crowd, like young boys love the Ninjagos, but like.
Chris, you do know what those young boys like, don't you?
Well, I've been around a lot of kids this weekend giving them Legos, Mike. I know exactly what they want. But it's just I don't know. Ninjago was weird, but I mean, I think you might want to check yourself, Mike. If everyone else is saying the sequels are good and you're the one odd man out, you might need to check your expectations here. Just saying.
Well, I had thought maybe it was just because I hadn't seen the first Wreck-It Ralph in a while, but we went over to a friend's place right after we saw that movie, and just coincidentally, Wreck-It Ralph was also playing on the Disney Channel, and like we watched maybe the last act of it, and I was just like, oh yeah, I really did like this first movie. So maybe when you get around to seeing the second Wreck-It Ralph, we'll talk about it a little bit more on the show. I'd like to know what you think, but look forward to getting old and hating everything.
Yep, especially Legos, Mike, you old curmudgeon. We're going to shift gears and look forward to next year in the live action form with Captain Marvel, our next Marvel movie, and our first one next year. We get some new promo art pieces here that's showing Carol Danvers, Brie Larson in the full suit, red, blue helmet and mohawk and all, Mike, with the airplanes in the background. What are you thinking of this stuff? You liking these looks?
Yeah, I think it looks cool, but with that Infinity War art book that just came out recently, I've seen a lot of my algorithm putting a lot of those pages in my faces, and I'm thinking that this could possibly just be concept art that maybe didn't end up getting used, but I think it should. It looks really badass. But I mean, we've seen Brie Larson in the trailer. She very much just has like kind of traditional hair. So is there going to be some sort of weird tech that puts her in a mohawk? Is there a weird scene where she's in the bathroom trying to pull her hair out through the top slit of the helmet to make the mohawk? I'm just curious how this works practically.
You are putting way too much thought in how the hair comes. It's more of a faux hawk, and like they've done this in the comic books for like 5 to 7 years now. So like it's just her hair coming up and out the middle. But this isn't concept art. This goes into the promo art pieces because there's a bunch of other stuff that came out today that like books and mugs and all that other stupid stuff that they put out for, I guess, promotions that nobody really buys, but they still do it anyway because like, well, we might sell a mug or two with Captain Marvel on it. The second piece shows more of the live like the less cartoony drawing, like less, I guess, painted and more of her in the actual real suit here with all this going on here. How do you feel about the mask? Everyone, it all depends, I guess, on what your version of Captain Marvel is, but like minus the hair scene that you need to see of her in the bathroom, what do you think of the overall look here with the fingerless gloves and everything?
I think it looks badass because you kind of got those white little eye slits. It kind of has this kind of almost futuristic like Batman vibe to it. I think it'll look really cool. I would imagine that there's going to be a scene, hopefully, in this final Infinity War Part 2 where you just have all of your heroes just going crazy, just wailing on something that's bad and it's going to punch it in the face. And it would be kind of cool seeing like Captain Marvel like flying in the background with her like creepy eyes like punching something in the face. So I think this works. I think this looks really cool.
Yeah, well, I'm worried. I'm not worried. What I'm concerned about, or not really concerned, what I'm curious about is actually, what if some of this art is actually their Avengers 4 promo art and it's just getting lost in the Captain Marvel releases coming out soon?
Oh, yeah, it could, because, we do have a precedent of, these costumes and looks do change throughout the films. I mean, that's almost kind of how you're not really in the same year anymore, or possibly now you can track these movies by decades. You're not the same decade of the MCU anymore because the costumes change and tweak and evolve. So, I mean, this would be the logical next step into a big brawl with Thanos. You might need a helmet. So maybe we're not going to get a helmet in Captain Marvel's movie. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe in an after credit scene. Well, maybe she grabs it before she heads off to Earth.
Well, it's in the trailers. When she's underwater, like she's wearing it with like the blue mask. Like it.
Yeah, but that could just be part of a scuba suit, Chris.
Well, I don't think they have scuba suits in space. But what I'm curious about is more
scuba suits, Chris.
It's not the helmets. It's like the coloration. Like, do you think we will see the red, gold, and blue in Captain Marvel, or just the green and gray until the end of it, which kicks off into Infinity War, I guess. I mean,
they could do the third act route where we don't get our hero in our iconic suit until the last battle. I mean, we've seen that plenty of times in the TV shows where they don't get it until the last episode, in the movies until they don't get it quite till the end. I mean, yeah, it could be possible. The only thing we've seen is that green suit, but I feel like that green suit just could be really like the Earthbound suit, you know? I feel like maybe all the places where we could have seen the red suit is just in a soundstage somewhere in front of a green screen, so maybe we don't see the red suit until she's back in space.
Or CGI'd, one of the two. Yeah, because they do that quite a bit. I just like how it kind of looks. It looks a lot like Captain America's outfit, a little bit, like with the way the gauntlets and gloves look a little bit. So I'm excited to see her team up with Captain America in the new one, which I hope they do, because that would be a hell of a slugfest on Thanos. That's for sure. Having those two team up. But until then, we only have the original Infinity War to look back on. We don't have the upcoming Avengers 4 yet. But in just a month's time, you can go watch Infinity War on Netflix starting December 25th. On Christmas Day. It's a Christmas miracle, Mike. Everyone's going to gather around the TV after opening their presents and watch Infinity War right there on the TV together.
Go watch it as soon as you can, though. Don't hold off and wait, because these all of these Marvel and Disney properties will be jettisoning from Netflix. We don't know the exact date. I don't know when the contract date ends. I don't know what's going to go on here, but these will all be going to the Disney streaming app sometime in about a year. So, I don't know how long some of these movies have gone in the past. I know Civil War was on Netflix for a while now. I don't know if it's technically still up there now. I mean, it could be. Maybe I just watched it, so it's not showing up in my algorithm anymore. But this contract is ending soon, so don't just assume Infinity War is going to be there for you forever. I mean, I honestly could see there could be clauses in the contract that could say, hey, we have them for a whole year calendar date unless you want to pay us a fee. I could see Disney wanting to pay a fee to take Infinity War off of Netflix just before it starts, before the new Part 2 comes out in theaters, because that's just what happens. We tried to go watch the first Fantastic Beasts, which was streaming for a while on HBO, but yeah, they took that sucker off just before the second one came out, because they want you to go physically buy it if you want to rewatch it. They don't want you streaming it just before the next one comes out.
Well, what I've noticed with the Harry Potter movies is there is kind of like a divorced relationship on who has those movies at any given time. Like they're either on Freeform during the weekday, HBO on the weekend. I think Sci-Fi had them like every other Friday at like 8 o'clock. I don't know. Like, it's really weird how they've divvied that up at this point. Civil War is also not on Netflix right now. I just double checked it. With justwatch.com, Mike. I've used it a lot this weekend.
Oh, I love that website.
I mean, again, Disney probably won't launch until Q4 next year. So we're looking at a year. I think most Netflix contracts are 12 months, a year at a time. So they've probably lined this up perfectly to drop the moment, or like within a couple weeks of the other one launching. So they've not been working on the streaming service a couple months. I imagine it's been a couple years talks now. So I think they're ready to go whenever it all ends up. But I mean, if you've not seen Infinity War and you're a Netflix subscriber, this is a good opportunity for you. Watch as many times as you want. Study it, learn it, because you'll probably want to watch it before you go into Avengers 4 next year. I think it was earlier this week we talked about rearranging the Marvel Cinematic Universe watching order. I was working on that this week, because if you're going to watch one a week up until Avengers 4, you got to start like this month, like December now, because they've added 3 more movies since we last did it. So I'm going to be revisiting that. I don't know if I'm going to do one a week, but I don't know. It might be something to take a look at there. Put that out. But yeah, you can go find that. Also, if you want to know what else you can stream, you can go check out justwatch.com. Speaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's a upcoming book coming out. I think it's something about the 10 years of Marvel, and it's done by Titan Publishing, not Marvel, which is this article has been circulating the internet like all week, or like maybe a week and a half. Marvel is not. It's maybe a book about Marvel and maybe licensed for Marvel, but it's through Titan Publishing, so I don't know how accurate these things are, Mike. And we're going to talk about the timeline of the MCU from this Titan Publishing book that everyone is freaking out about. what I kind of just want to point out here, it starts off, the biggest thing here, everyone thinks Iron Man 1 takes place in 2008 because that's when it was released. It's not. It's 2010 because Iron Man 2 sets the time better, saying 6 months after Iron Man, which would put it in 2011 when Hulk and Thor also happened as well. And I think everything else is pretty par for the course here until we get to, I want to say, Spider-Man Homecoming is probably the biggest thing. Because at the beginning of that movie, remember it says 8 years later after, what was it, the Battle of New York or something like that?
That was the one that really kind of set a date in the stone that I think maybe they wish they didn't do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Sony put that in there and messed it up, and then they didn't take it out for the home release. And that could have been an easy fix. So ignore 8 years later in Spider-Man Homecoming. I also want to say there's a line in Civil War where it says Tony Stark's been Iron Man for 8 years, and really it's been 6 years. But what I don't like about this thing is it says Black Panther is in 2017. Yes, that's the movie year released, but does that movie not pick up a week after Civil War?
Well, I've seen some people theorize that, like, okay, so at the beginning of the movie, T'Challa's in his in his weird flying spacecraft. We haven't seen it gone to space, but it feels spacey to me.
Yeah.
And he's watching like the CNN clip of his like dad blowing up, and it says like, oh, this, and the narrator in the news clip says something along the lines of like, oh, this just happened, hey, this just happened. But some people are saying, well, yeah, who knows? T'Challa could have a DVR. Maybe he just revisits this whenever he's feeling sad and motivate himself to make the world a better place because it blew up his dad. I mean, I don't know. I think what it really boils down to is like when you're creating this giant franchise where you're working in chunks, you don't have the entire thing plotted out down to the year. Some stuff is just going to get a little weird. Just don't get too caught up in it. Everything still makes logical sense. And that's what you want. You just don't worry too much about how the years line up, It makes sense that Spider-Man was a kid when the Battle of New York happened. So when he comes around to being Spider-Man, it makes sense that that kind of stuff would have influenced his past. And that's why he looks up to heroes like Iron Man and stuff like that, because he was a kid when all that stuff was happening and he grew up with them. You don't have to worry exactly about, if it was 8 years or not, Just remember that it's in the future.
Well, I think one thing that my takeaway from this from everybody is no matter what they say or anybody says, are the movies good? Like, does the timeline placement of Black Panther when it was released versus when it should have taken place, does it really matter to it at the end of the day if it's a good movie or not? It doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't, because I mean the biggest thing this summer, and we've talked about this several times, is Ant-Man and the Wasp obviously takes place before Infinity War. But it came out after Infinity War. Does that affect the movie as a whole? Not really. And that's the best part about having these as home movies. You can watch them in any order you want. You want to start with Doctor Strange? Go for it. It really doesn't matter. So I don't know. It's just interesting that everyone's fighting over these timelines, and at the end of the day, I still enjoy the movies regardless of what they say in there. So. The Titan timeline, quote unquote, is in our notes if you guys want to take a look at that. So, good luck. Hopefully you can find some semblance of I don't know,
peace.
Yeah, something help you sleep easier at night. Sony has announced 2 more movie dates, Mike, coming up here.
Oh geez.
One is an untitled Sony Marvel movie for 7/10/20, which would be July 10th of 2020. Which was very, very close to the Marvel movie of 2020, which was June 26th. It wasn't June 26th. July 31st was the Marvel movie. So they've taken... Marvel took their movie off. Sony's doing an untitled Marvel movie. I think this is Morbius, because I think they're already working on it. We've talked about this. Silver and Black isn't going to see the light of day again, probably. And what's the other ones they're working on? I don't even know.
I think they're working on a Craven movie.
Yeah, possibly a Craven movie. So I think Morbius is it, because I mean Jared Leto, he shaved that beard, Mike. He shaved his beard. This is real. This has to happen now. Like there's no going back. So there's that, and then just 3 months later is an untitled Sony Marvel sequel for 10/02/20 for October 2nd. I wonder what movie they're going to make a sequel to.
Well, it makes me wonder if maybe the reporting on this one is a little off, possibly, because can you really imagine a Craven or a Morbius movie coming out in the heart of July? I mean, really? I know the box office summer has kind of shifted, and it's really not what it used to be anymore, but I mean, July was that was a big month for really big movies to come out. I mean, that's when you got your original OG Spider-Man movies coming out, cranking out world records back in the day. I just can't imagine a Morbius or a Craven movie coming out in July. Now, if you said those were coming out in October, that would make sense. And then I could see a sequel to Venom coming out in July just because it has been proven itself at the box office, and I could see it shifting itself into July, almost kind of what Deadpool did. It started in a weird month like February, and then it moved into the summer. So I wonder if maybe these dates have just been kind of flipped and people aren't really sure what's going on, but who is going to go see a Morbius movie in July?
So I think these are actually very correct, because I think they want to Venom came out October 5th this year. The same reason Wonder Woman moved back 6 months or more was to line up with its original release weekend. So I think Venom will be October 2nd. Venom 2 will be that sequel. Untitled sequel. We know what it is. They have no other movie they can make a sequel to. Like, why even hide it? Now, July 10th, right now, 1, 2, 3 movies have been moved off the board for 2020 summer. Marvel took off their big movie. Fox no longer has a movie slot that we know of because they're being absorbed into Disney. And Green Lantern, like we just talked about, literally has been moved. Only we have Black Widow, Eternals, Wonder Woman 84, and Birds of Prey that year. Like, it's 2020 is the lightest year in superhero movies since what was the first year they did 3 movies? Was that Civil War year? Maybe?
Yeah, it might have been.
So this is literally the lightest year by a long shot in terms of even others. There's no Star Wars movies. With Fox going away, like X-Men's not coming out, nothing like that. Now, can they move these? Very well. They could very well move it. But I think July for superheroes is no longer... and 2020 is not strong. I think we might see some other franchises or other action movies take their place that we haven't seen. Maybe another Mission Impossible movie by that point. I don't know. But I think superhero-wise, July is open season for whatever Morbius film they want to put in there.
Well, I think it's obvious. The best takeaway you can take from this is that you must stay subscribed to the Superhero Slate podcast for, at the very least, the next 2 years to see who's right, me or Chris.
Yeah, so you can hear that awesome review we're going to be giving Morbius when it comes out in the summer of 2020. Oh, man. Anyway, lastly and least, this may be for some of you, this may not be for some of you, but we both saw Fantastic Beasts, and they're in the case too. The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Excuse me, Chris. I don't think you're pronouncing that name right. They very emphatically say it's Grindelwald in the movie. There's a V in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a double V, actually. Grindelwald. So we ended up seeing this. This is the second of 5 movies in the Harry Potter prequel series. The first being Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This being The Crimes of Grindelwald. 3, 4, and 5 we don't know. Mike, if you were to give a spoiler-free review based on this movie and possibly the one before it, but none of them afterwards, because I don't think the Harry Potter movies affect this a whole lot, what would you say about this?
Well, surprisingly, I think I liked this one a little bit better than the first one. But, I didn't really have the highest opinion of the first Fantastic Beasts. But, they seem to be getting a little bit better, so that's a good trend. But also, there's a lot going on in this movie. And it's kind of really hard to really latch yourself onto one central character. Mm-hmm. In the Harry Potter films, it's very easy. You're just kind of tracking Harry. And then if not, you're also just kind of going with his ancillary... Ron and Hermione. But, you're very focused. You're very structured. You're just following him and his path through school. With Fantastic Beasts, you're just kind of loosely attached to, like, Newt's journey, which almost kind of seems to be circumstantial coincidence that he kind of falls into this story, and it kind of continues for this sequel. So there's cool wizarding stuff going on. I mean, the Wizarding World, which is a whole logo that you see before you go into this movie, is very present in this film, and the Wizarding World has always been really cool. I always really like it. But they're treading on some weird areas here where once you start to explore this universe outside of the rigid structure of a school, some big existential questions are starting to pop up into my mind of like, what does it truly mean to be a wizard? Where's the separation between wizard and humanity? There's a lot of big questions to answer in this franchise, and I'm not sure if the audience is prepared or if the film franchise is prepared to really answer it. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this film. There's some kind of odd bits of editing where some scenes just kind of end and some just kind of start. Like they'll be inside of a building, they'll cut to another character for a scene, they'll come back and they're all of a sudden outside of the building, and it's just like, well, I guess I technically didn't need to see them walk through a door, but a little transition there might have been a little nice. So at least there's some decent performances going on. I love I've been saying his name all weekend because Dan Fogler, I love that guy. He's the kind of plays the dopey muggle friend. He's been great in the last two films, so I hope we get more of him in the next film. But I mean, we got 3 more of these movies, which is pretty shocking that they're gonna hopefully it doesn't end up start to feel like a stretch to 5, but no spoilers, of course, but there's been some lore added to this film that even my wife didn't know. After the film ended, I had to lean over and ask her a few questions, and it was just like, well, no, this is new. This wasn't in the books. This is new to me as well, so there's a lot of new areas to explore here, but I just feel like they started off on the wrong foot making Newt the central character, because I don't think his character really gets any stronger in this second film. And I don't think the story really needs to revolve around him. So, I mean, we were talking about long titles earlier with that Harley Quinn movie. I mean, Fantastic Beasts and the Crime of Grindelwald. I mean, I feel like by the 5th film, they're going to be using the tiniest font in existence for the word Fantastic Beasts, because they just kind of stick it up there in the corner. You can't really see it, but I don't know, Chris. How did you feel about this movie?
So I'm not a big fan of the first movie either, and not being, again, we are not what you call Potterheads, if you will.
Go listen to our spoiler cast for the first film, where we sat down with our 2 wives and tried to hash this movie out. That was crazy.
Yeah. So we're not the biggest Potterheads, but I'm Reddit dangerous. I've been on Reddit, to figure this out.
Reddit dangerous. I love that.
Yeah. So what I like this movie. Like, this movie has dumb moments, Mike, by far. You'd agree with that. There's some dumb moments in this movie.
Yeah, I could agree.
I had a good time. Like, I'm like, oh, this is actually very interesting. I'm not either following kids around in a school who happen to just always be the chosen one. But I also feel cheated because this is called The Crimes of Grindelwald. And did he commit any crimes in this movie, Mike? I
mean, there might have been... I thought this could have possibly been like a retrospective of maybe the crimes he had done in the past or what he was doing forward, but it kind of seems like his major crimes are still to come, I mean,
he's done something to be on the run from everybody and in prison. Mm-hmm. And we don't even learn that in the first movie. And then he's got some coming up. I mean, this movie, I think, is set in, 29? Or 1927, 1929, or something like that?
Yeah, something around that.
The last movie has to end in 1945 when he is essentially defeated.
I guess I never really connected the timeline in my head. I didn't know that. So they're going to have to do some X-Men spanning decades there.
Yeah, so they're going to have these people go. I mean, even if you look at... not that it matters. I don't care they've recast Dumbledore and he's got a young... Jude Law was great as Dumbledore. I actually think I enjoy him the most of all the Dumbledores, to be frank. But there's... I don't know. This just feels like a trailer for the next 3 movies. And I think that's... Knowing there are 5 maybe hurts it a little bit. Because, yes, Newt is now... In the first one, yeah, it's him and Tina trying to find all these beasts, right? And then stumbling upon some other things. In this one, it's him, Newt, and his brother, and a bunch of other people now. And the ending makes people choose sides. Everyone has to choose a side by the end of this movie.
But it's kind of obvious. They do some little change ups there at the end, but it all feels like setup, like you said. We don't really have any clear resolutions. There's so much going on here, and it's just like, well, maybe let's just go ahead and watch the third one. Do you have that one ready? I think I'm ready to watch it.
Yeah, I don't want to wait. I mean, I wish these were coming out like almost every year to like every year and a half right now. Like,
I bet they will. I bet towards like the last like 2 or 3 films, they will be consecutive years.
We can only
just
hope
to kind of get them ready. But I have to say, it is kind of nice to be able to go to a movie that's part of like a $1 billion franchise and not have a whole lot at stake. Yeah. When we go to these Marvel movies or even the DC movies, we're just really hoping that the superhero art just gets elevated and we just have a great time. And they set up the next 10 years so we can just have the best time on Sundays recording this podcast. But with the Fantastic Beasts franchise, I don't really care either way which way it goes. So it's actually kind of nice. I just get to go in and just kind of enjoy the spectacle, and I don't have a whole lot involved, so that's nice.
Well, I think we've said this before maybe, but like this series is a prequel series to the Harry Potter universe. However, unlike Star Wars prequels, which everybody loathes and everyone had to be shuffled around to meet their respective spots 20 years later, this isn't affecting Harry Potter's lifestyle. Like, this is not going to affect those kids later on, because that's a different villain with different motives.
Yeah, but it is,
and these people don't make it in there.
But it is affecting some parts of the movie. I'm still this is no spoilers because she's in the trailer. I don't really know exactly how they're pitching or moving Nagini around, but it does not feel like that was intended. I very well doubt that when J.K. Rowling wrote Nagini into the Harry Potter series, she knew that snake was actually a person way back in the day and had this whole arc. I think it was just a snake. So I think there's a little
very smart snake, though. Very smart snake.
I think there's a little retcon going on there, but who knows? It's not a big deal. I don't, it's not my franchise, so like I'm just along for the ride. We're gonna be going because we're Harry Potter fans in this household. I'm just not as attached to it, so it's nice. It's just a lot of weight off my shoulders.
Yeah,
a lot of stress. It's stressful being a fan of a franchise. That's for sure.
However, I do know that people who are very hardcore fans are fucking up in arms over this thing, over some of the changes and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
They're going to tell you it matters.
I mean, this is like us going over the MCU timeline. Like, yeah, I know there's some mistakes, but it doesn't matter. The movies are still good. And while I don't think this is the best movie in the world, it's not going to change my life, I still think, despite it being dumb, I had a good time watching it. And being truly surprised throughout the whole thing. It didn't feel predictable, if I could be honest, throughout a lot of it. So, do we even do spoilers? Do we just say, this is it? Go watch it. Don't go watch it. Do what you want to do. It was a movie.
I wouldn't avoid it. I mean, I don't know if that's a new review metric for me. You don't have to go out of way to avoid it. It's a fun time, but if you're not like a big fan, just, I don't know, go play Red Dead Redemption. That's what everyone else is doing.
I gotta say also, I was very worried about Johnny Depp being the character this time around because he did not do a good job the first 2 minutes we saw him. I actually didn't mind him. I did not mind Johnny Depp playing the role this time around. I don't know what it was about him, but I thought I would miss Colin Farrell. Is that right?
Yeah. Farrell Firth? No, not Firth.
No, it's not Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell from the first one.
Yeah, there you go.
But I did enjoy Johnny Depp as the villain, and I don't know. Either way, yeah, don't avoid it. Go watch it if you want to. There's a lot of movies this season, and I think would you choose this over the other movie you watched this weekend?
Ralph?
Yeah.
I would say I had a better time with this movie than Ralph. But, if you had to make choices at the end of the year, go see Spider-Verse. I keep seeing trailers for that movie in front of me. I want to see that movie so bad, man.
Speaking of Spider-Verse, the Green Goblin from that movie, they're making a 10-inch pop vinyl of that character.
Ooh, that'll be a sick pop, man.
Yeah, got that ordered from Target coming in. But all right, there we did. Fantastic Beasts, where to find them? They're in the movie. They're in his basement this time, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and ruin that.
Those nifflers are cute, man.
Oh, the baby ones?
So cute.
Yeah. All right, Mike, that's it. That's our episode for the day. We even got a little review in there. If people want to know what you're up to this season, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to chat with you, see what you're up to, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. You can also hit me up on Instagram, Valdan87. Twitter probably the best place if you want to argue over this timeline here, because I'm just ripping it apart in my head this past week. But yeah, that's really about it. You also head over to Comic UI. Next weekend, Mike, it is Louisville SuperCon. I know you can't make it, but anyone else wants to do it, go ahead and buy your tickets. They're on sale, I think, today, which is Sunday. This comes out on Monday. Never mind. If you're there, going to be at SuperCon this weekend, let me know. I'm going to try to be there a little bit Saturday, a little bit Sunday, maybe even Friday night. Excuse me. So maybe I'll get to see you there if you come down for it. If people want to know more about our episodes, maybe listen to our old review of Venom. Where can they find that at?
Well, as always, visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our little show and to get our awesome show notes. And not just show notes, the release schedule. Our website's awesome because there's no ads on it ever, no pop-ups. It's just a quick loading site, and you can just get all of a really nice list of when all these movies come out. So you don't have to look for those dumb blog articles where you got to wait for like a giant hero image at the top of the screen to load, all the dumb pop-ups on the sidebar to load. You got to like swat that newsletter module away. You can just look at a nice little text list at superheroslate.com, and you could find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. You can ask your smart devices to play our podcast because I got my first Google Home Mini thing, and I asked it to play the Superhero Slate podcast, and it played it. So I thought that was pretty rad. You can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. It's the holiday season. If you want to spread the love of Superhero Slate, we selling merch, so you can get that at /store. And we love hearing from you. We love our fans. You reach out to us on Twitter, on Instagram, in the YouTube comments. We love hearing from you. Someone shot a blast right past my ballast the other day on YouTube, saying that Alita is going to be the best movie of next year. Man, I'm hoping. I mean, if that is, that's going to be an amazing feat. So that's the kind of gold you're going to find in our YouTube comments. And you know what? If it is, I'll go ahead and I'll reply to you next year, and I'll say you were right. You are the super fan of all super fans for predicting that. But if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and I think a super fan Jim is setting the record there of where if you want to be a super fan, share a really weird sandwich with me on Twitter. He shared this picture of like this pork tenderloin sandwich that had like stuffing and like cranberry sauce on it, and like I don't know if you've probably seen a pork tenderloin sandwich, Chris, because you're from the Midwest. But if you're not familiar with what they look like out there, people, I mean, you basically flatten a piece of pork to about the size of a frisbee, and you stick it on a normal like hamburger bun. So you just got like the saucer sticking out from your bun, and it's an amazing Midwest experience. So if you want to be a super fan like Jim, share a weird sandwich with me on the internet. And you can be a Superhero Slate super fan, and we will be here every week.
Every week, including next week. And next week, Mike, is a special moment for us.
Yeah.
Because it's episode 200.
Yes, 200, and we are crossing our fingers that Infinity War trailer drops for...
Just do it for us, Marvel. Do it for us. We've been here 200 weeks, sometimes in a row, sometimes not, but we've done it. Just give us a little something to hold on to.
Give us a taste. Give us a taste.
Sounds good. All right, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, adios.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
This will be like a nice, tight little episode.
Yeah.